Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. Today I'll be commanding the Empire up against the Dwarfs, and if you watched replay number 18, Bane of the Dwarfs, this composition will look familiar to you. I wanted to try it out again against a different composition and a different opponent, and see how that works out. So again, I brought 4 swordsmen, 3 great swords, 2 Demigryphs, 1 Sunmaker, the Empire Captain, and an Empire General. My opponent brought 2 gyrocopters with brimstone guns. He also has 2 quarrelers. He brought Ungrim Iron Fist as his leader, 1 cannon, 1 grudge thrower, 2 miners with blasting charges, 2 dwarf warriors, 2 longbeards, 1 slayer, and I think, and over here he's got a Thane, and I believe he has a runesmith. Yes, he does, right here. So my opponent here deployed it in a pretty typical fashion for dwarfs, which is to make this little blob, and we're going to see if the Sunmaker is still the answer to that. My deployment, I just alternated my swordsmen and great swords in a long line. Excuse me. Behind them I have the Sunmaker, and I have my 2 flying units, the Empire Captain and the General, and I hid my cavalry over here in the corner to avoid any sort of gyrocopter nonsense, things of that nature. So right away I'm going to get this Sunmaker firing on his lines, and you know, this is I still think the Sunmaker is ridiculous against the Dwarfs, and as you watch it do its thing, you're going to start to see and understand why. And that is, the Sunmaker shoots very often, a high volume of rockets, and so you're able to use up all of your ammo in a single battle, which means you get maximum effectiveness. Its only drawback is how inaccurate it is, and you see how it's splashing all over the place. But that one negative is completely negated when you fight against the Dwarfs and they form one of their boxes or blobs like this, because as you can see, all of these rockets, virtually all of them, are striking opponents and doing damage. So his entire army is just getting decimated by this thing, and really, you know, he's doing the only thing he can do, which is try to get his gyrocopters over there, but since I brought a flying contingent, I'm able to counter that. The only other option that I can think of for the Dwarf is to charge. But if he did that, these 2 Demigryph Knights that I brought would be able to hit his men when they're unbraced, and that would be absolutely devastating as well. So he's kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. I start moving my infantry line up, and I start bringing my cav around this side because his infantry over here are the miners with blasting charges, and they are not particularly effective against fast-moving units because when they throw the charges, often, you know, where they land, the cavalry or any quick unit will have passed by. Also because they're not very effective against the charge, and they're his weakest infantry. So of course that's where I want to make my entry point. Now he is being smart. As I pursue his gyrocopters, he pulls them back to his quarrelers, which is a good play because the quarrelers will help defend them. And he is getting some shots in between being chased back and forth and whatnot. So he is getting some action out of them. But the rest of his army is just sitting here, just waiting things out. And like I said, that's not any sort of a negative. I'm not saying my opponent did something wrong. I really don't know what he could do. If you have some ideas, please share them in the comments, because I'm curious if you have some ideas that I don't. But I think the flying counters the gyrocopters, and charging with the Dwarfs is never attractive, but it's especially unattractive across open terrain when I have Demigryphs that could easily put a pounding on them. And realistically, if he charged all the way over here to reach the Sunmaker, it'd probably be out of ammo by the time he reached it. So I'm going for a timing attack here. I want these guys and these guys to come in virtually simultaneously, and I want that to happen just as my Sunmaker runs out of ammo. And as you're going to see here in a second, I actually pull that off with almost perfect timing. That's the next to last volley coming in and punishing our poor little short friends. And then here's going to come the last volley. See, all of one of your units has used all this ammunition, and just as that volley comes in, causing the leadership debuff to them, and all the damage has been applied from all the shots, and then boom, the charge comes in here, the infantry come in, and they're going to come in waves a bit, because something weird was going on where I was commanding my army to go forward, and some guys would and some wouldn't. I don't know if they were reacting to the gyrocopters for some reason, or what that deal was. You'll also notice as I charged, I brought my flying units into his center, so I really wanted to get maximum shock and really take advantage of the charge and the penalty of them being surrounded and hit from multiple sides. I've got my Demigryphs now working on his quarrelers, don't want them shooting. Got the infantry just pushing through as much as they can, and you're going to see a lot of Dwarfs are losing heart, which is pretty hard to do, to break the leadership of the Dwarfs. But considering the bombardment they took, and now just the savage infantry charge, cavalry charge, flying charge, that's a lot to absorb in a period of time. But the Dwarfs are resilient. You'll notice a lot of them are wavering and whatnot, but they're sticking it out or they're retreating and coming back. But we are getting some mass panic here. You'll see all of his units over here really low in leadership. Soon I'm going to start keying on his leaders, but right now I generally do the opposite with the Dwarfs, and that is I focus on their infantry and other units before I go after their leaders, because the Runesmith has great buffs which affect all, which makes you want to take him out early, but it does make him hard to kill. The Thane is even harder to kill because he's got a healing potion and he's very tanky, and then the hardest is Ungrim because he doesn't break no matter what. So still playing the game with his gyrocopters here. I've gotten some damage in on them, but yet to be able to catch them and remove them from the field. But I am minimizing how effective they are and trying to keep them away from my cav, who are having a fun time charging through broken ranks of Dwarfs and putting a hurting on them. And we're going to go over here. I'm using my General of the Empire to bust up his Thane, who right now is trying to retreat. Some of his units are reforming, some are fleeing a great distance here, and some will never return. I'm chasing this gyrocopter. It's down to one model in the unit, and these gyrocopters are absolutely terrible melee, so if you can get a hold of them, you can do a lot of damage. I'm also using the General of the Empire now to chase down routing units and make sure they don't come back, because the Dwarfs can reform due to their good leadership and definitely be viable again, so you want to avoid that by just pushing towards them. They're going to keep running further and further, and if you do more damage to them, you can completely shatter them. So that's what I'm working on now, and again, I'm going to start pursuing gyrocopters. I want to try to get this one wiped out, because he's firing into my guys, and these things are strong. You don't want to let them hang out any longer than you have to. But again, look at the damage it takes from getting beat on there. So that's 3 hits. I think one more hit, and oh, no, yeah, what, is it going? No. There we go. And boom. Black Hawk down, buddy. So, he's just got these gyrocopters now. I'm trying to get his Thane out because he reformed. The Runesmith is surrounded and starting to lose heart. And Ungrim is getting beat down by a lot of great swords and my cavalry. As you can see, the bar is shifted completely in my favor. And it's just, I don't know what he could have done to deal with this, and so I'm very interested if you guys have feedback on his build or how he could have played this differently, more specifically to deal with the Sunmaker, because I feel like it's almost a hard counter to the Dwarfs. Its only drawback is not a drawback when you're facing them a lot of the time. So it looks like my infantry did pretty well. The cavalry did fantastic. Both of them chevroned up and had over 100 kills each. The Sunmaker, 149 kills. But if you also factor in the health damage it did, and the fact that all that damage occurred before our lines even clashed, it's a far more impressive result than that number would suggest, even though that's a great number. The Empire Captain and the General did what I wanted them to do. They created fear, they attacked his range units, and more importantly, provided the punch needed to take out his heroes and his leader. Looking at my opponent's army, his miners got devastated by my cavalry. The quarrelers did next to nothing. His artillery wasn't particularly effective, or any of his infantry. His Ungrub did quite well, and so did the gyrocopters. But good game to my opponent. I don't know what he could have done, so I look forward to your feedback on this one even more than usual, which is pretty exceptional. If you have also any ideas on how we can make this build better, or changes we can make, maybe make it more fun, I'd love to see those in the comments as well. So anyways, until the next time, this is the Magnus. Good luck and take care.